the farther you go up the management chain, the less effect you're actually going to have on like the correctness of how things are done day to day, right? You need to be able to build teams that understand themselves how to get things done correctly. It can't, and a lot of times other people are going to have ideas that are different from yours about how to do something right, and you need to constantly be asking, okay, this is not how I would have done it, right? But did this person still do it some other definition of correct, even if it's not the way I would have done it, right? And the farther you go up the management chain, the more things you're going to have to challenge yourself on. Okay, not my approach, but did this approach work, or will this approach work? Or usually, what I try to think of is there anything I could see going disastrously wrong with this approach, right? Because other than that, like it was this person's call, this person's project, this person's task, right? I have to trust that they did it correctly. If does that make any sense, or do I sound like a lunatic?
It makes
uh,
perfect sense. It sounds to me like, um, I think as developers, not speaking as a developer, but talking with a lot of them, is that there's a lot of heart that goes into what they do, and it sounds to me as you get further and further away from that, you lose a lot of control. Um,
yeah,
you gain more control over a lot of the bigger picture things, but at the end of the day, now it sounds like you have to be more married to the outcome as opposed to how it was actually done, no matter how strange it might
yeah,
seem to you.
yeah. And it's like your job becomes more and more to make sure that the people who work for you have the information they need, and more importantly, the confidence to make decisions that they believe are correct without needing your input, right? And that's sort of where you get that like loss of control, right? Like, let's take going from, and again, something I was guilty of when I first made the transition, going from individual contributor to team lead. If you're one of those team leads who's going into a pull request and like leaving, 50 different comments, half of them charitably being nitpicks, to
Yeah.
try and get all the people on the team's code to look exactly like you would have written it, you're going to see turnover like whoa. You're going to really upset people, right? You're not going to be a fun person to work for, right? And it's going to be difficult for you to see that because in your mind you're saying, hey, look, I'm just trying to make everything better, right? Here's the right way of doing it. Here's the right C++ paradigm, or here's the right way to handle this set of exceptions in Java, or whatever it is, right? You have your own philosophy about it, and you can't try to impose that on other people,
Is this a
right?
common pitfall?
I think this is a very common pitfall, especially as people try to make that jump from lead engineer, especially as like a really high performing lead engineer,
Right.
right? Like you are the go-to person. You're the person that when that really hard ticket comes, the project manager is always like, "Can we give this to John?" Right? Like it's one of those. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But like especially when you're that person, I think it's a common pitfall, and it's a really easy set of mistakes to make, right? I got promoted because I'm the person that's right most of the time.
Good.
You still need to be right most of the time, whereas you go higher up the ladder, but that sort of needs to stay in your own head, right? You need to have your own idea of what's right and wrong, like right and wrong in terms of like how you execute on something, and you need to see people executing more and more on what you think is the right way of doing things without actually telling them what to do, right? I think someone once said to me, the art of management is hearing your own words come out of someone else's mouth, right? And like that's the thing I think people really struggle with, and that's what I mean by like you kind of get like farther and farther away from being able to actually be driving, right? As an IC, you're the person driving the car, right? You become a
Good
team
control.
lead, you're the person sitting in the passenger seat trying to navigate on the phone, being like, okay, you're going to take your next left,
Mhm.
okay, and then three lights down, you're going to take a right. By the time you're at a VP level, you're like, guys, I need you to go to Los Angeles,
Right.
right? And like it's like I don't know what roads you're going to take to get there. I don't know which places you're going to stop and get food or gas along the way. I just trust that you're going to get to Los Angeles, right?